Zimmerman with Upper Creek Angler, and I wanted to do a quick video on two flies that have been working super well for me in the last couple of days. We've had a lot of rain in my part of the world, so a couple flies with some extra flash on them were the name of the game. Neither of these is difficult at all, and they have absolutely been wrecking fish. So the first one I'm going to call a Super Sexy Walts. I've got a number 12 Orvis jig hook in the vise with an untreated slotted tungsten bead. If you want to spruce it up even more, you could certainly add a colored tungsten bead on there. One thing that does not usually happen with the Sexy Walts is the addition of a tail or a tailing material, but I'm going to add a little hot spot butt to the end of this. So I've got some pink Glow Bright that I have folded over 4 times so that there are going to be 4 individual strands that will come together as one little butt at the end. So all I did was doubled it over, and then I doubled it over again to give us that little butt. I'm then gonna rib this with some opal sulky, the metallic sulky in the opal color. So we'll tie the ribbing in. And bring that all the way back to the back. And then we're just going to dub this. And the dubbing is, my preference is the Orvis Natural Hairs in light hairs mask. That's my preference for Sexy Waltz flies, or waltz worms in general. Though certainly can tie these in any number of dubbing colors. This one colors up really nicely when wet. So we'll bring the dubbing forward, and I'm gonna add just a fuzz more to this, and then go about halfway down and come halfway back up just to establish a little carroty taper on this. When I've been fishing the last couple of days, I have been using this fly as my my bottom fly, and the one that I'm going to show you next is the one that I've been using for my top fly. So we'll just bring our sulky forward. I like more sulky wraps to fewer sulky wraps. I really like to see the sulky when I bring it up out of the water. So we've counter ribbed this so that these wraps will really show up and not get buried in the dubbing. Sorry about that, the camera was really close. Come in and snip the sulky out. And then using your preferred head cement, I'm going to use some Sally Hansen's here. We'll coat the thread just a little bit. Continue to build up our hot spot. And then whip finish right into the wet Sally Hansen's. So unless you throw this in a tree or break a fish off, this fly is good for life. So I'm calling this the Super Sexy Walts. It has been a super producer for me the last couple of days on high stained water. These double and competing hot spots, I think, really did a major trick. The next fly that we're going to look at is one that I'm calling the Energizer. I'm calling it the Energizer because I mapped it out after tying a bunch of Duracell jigs. So the inspiration for it did come from tying the Duracell jig, but this is quite different than the Duracell. Not like stunningly, but enough that it's not a Duracell. For one, we're using the UV chartreuse thread instead of Coq de Leon for the tail. I'm going to use the same Glow Bright hotspot material to create a tag, and I'm doing the same thing. I've doubled it over, and then I'm going to double it over again and tie that material in on top of the hook. And come back here just to the bend and snip for a hot tag. We'll come back up to the top and tie in our ribbing for this. I'm using some red copper wire in size brassy. This is the UTC copper wire, again in color red, size brassy. The original Duracell jig calls for UV ice dub in brown, but what I've done is taken about 8 different colors of ice dub, most all of them UV, and mixed them together. And so all we'll do to start to finish this fly is apply the dubbing to the thread. And bring that up to the top. Oops, caught the hook. Just a fuzz more here. And now we'll bring our ribbing forward, counter wrapping so that it doesn't bury in the dubbing. And we'll cross the wire with the thread. And then either using a pair of scissors that you no longer have a care in the world for, or helicopter that out. At this point, all we'll do is come in and tie in our soft tackle collar for this, which is a CDC feather. We're going to make 2 rotations of the CDC. 1, pull back, and 2, pull those fibers back, then reach in with the thread, cross the stem, and make a couple wraps in front. And being careful not to clip away your tied in feathers, we'll snip the stem out. And tied down over those so that they do flush back, and I'm gonna reach in and just pick some of these close so that they're not extending all the way back. And we'll tie in just a fuzz more of the mixed UV dubbings. For our final collar. Come in front and whip finish off. When I've been fishing the last couple days, I used this as my my top fly in a 2 nymph rig, and it and the Super Sexy Walts accounted for, well, I didn't fish anything but these two flies, and they accounted for roughly an equal number of fish. And really super producers over the last couple of days. So if you've got, especially if you've got high water around you where the fish need a little bit of extra vision to be able to see what's coming at them, give these bugs a try. Happy tying.